Awesome. What is up, y'all? Hey, this is Austin Pegram with the Fitness That Fits You podcast. I am coming to you today with a reminder, obviously, to be good to yourself. I want to just introduce to you all a friend and a peer, if you will, like-minded individual. This individual is going to be a sponsor, actually, for the Women's Wellness Retreat that we have coming up in April 24th through the 25th here. That's going to be a wonderful day for the women in our community to kind of work on any development, education, things that they can do for themselves, self-care, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll get into all that. I have Miss Haley Wienke, coach and personal trainer, nutritionist, et cetera, et cetera. She'll give you all of her accolades. She is on the podcast with me today. Haley, introduce yourself and how are you doing?
I'm good. So, like you said, my name is Haley. I am a certified personal trainer. I have my nutrition certification. I am also working on my pre and postnatal certification and also level 2 certification. So, getting a little bit more into hormones and especially like female side of things. So yeah, lots of things to be working on.
Heck yeah. And it's actually funny that you said that because so in the midst of trying to find the sponsors, we really wanted to find female sponsors, women in the workforce that have some sort of professional or just beneficial service that they can provide. And so pre and postnatal certifications, I mean, wow. And then of course, trying to work in the area of female hormones as well. I think that, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. But you can have a client do all the right things and nothing seems to be changing for them. And usually there may be some hormonal I don't want to say issue, but complication going on with that client. You know what I mean? So, but that's cool that you're going to be doing all that. What's kind of making you like step up into those realms a little bit?
So I am not a mom. I will say that. I don't even know if I want kids, but I've noticed over the last few years of one, having my own business, but two, just training in general, that the reason a lot of people, or a lot of women, I should say, start training is one, because they either want to just be overall healthier for, that mother experience or like becoming a mother. I've also had a few that come to me because they are trying to get pregnant and just can't, either because they have like, excess body fat or their internal health, or like I said earlier, like hormone health just isn't in check. Women that are pregnant that don't know how to kind of change up their training, because if you're pregnant, like you can't be doing the exact same things. You can't be lifting super heavy. You can't overexert yourself. But also like post pregnancy as well, that postnatal experience, like a lot of moms want to get like their pre-mom like bod back, and not that if you don't, like that's great, that's fine, like it's not bad if you don't, but being able to like have that endurance to keep up with your kid, because newborns don't stop.
You're right about that.
Yeah. Especially too, like I've dealt with a lot of hormone issues on my end, but also like family members all have dealt with some type of hormone issues. So that's really as to why I'm getting into the nutrition component of the hormone imbalances. So yeah, I've noticed a lot of clients pre, post, and during pregnancy, and then also, the hormone imbalance and just struggling with that. And, as trainers and coaches and just people in general, we want to help people anyway in any state that we can. So those are some hard times for people, and I want to try and make them easier.
Hell yeah. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'd like to get into a little bit because it sounds like obviously, while you're working on retrieving more information, you've also experienced some of the complications. So I'd like to just kind of touch base with you on that. But before then, if that's okay with you, before then, I want to kind of figure out, what it is that got you into coaching and training to begin with, because at this point, like now you got there and then now you're like excelling even further. So how did you start with this? What was the first? Obviously it wasn't back when I met you at Pro Rehab. It was sometime before that. So give us your story.
So I thought from the time I was 4 years old that I wanted to be a physical therapist. Okay. I had fractured my femur. I pulled probably kids younger than us don't know what these are, but a console TV. So the big square box TVs. I pulled that down on top of me and I was in a full body cast for 8 weeks.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was a great time.
How old were you again?
I was 4. So full body cast, like from my left knee to my right toes across my chest. I had a bar in between my legs, like not able to move. Like I was wheelchair bound for those 8 weeks. Like my dad had to carry me up and down the stairs, like to take me to bed. I had to wash my hair, like have somebody wash my hair in the kitchen sink for me. Like it was, I only remember a little bit of it, but what I remember most was actually before this, my dad fell 18 feet through a roof of a house, through the second floor, into the first floor, shattered the right side of his face. He was unconscious. He was in a coma for 5 days and they gave him 72 hours to live. Now, if you looked at him, you would never know anything was wrong with him, like fully recovered and everything. But he had to do physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. He had to learn how to walk, talk, tie his shoes, eat, the whole 9 yards. And while he was in therapy, I then broke my femur and I was in therapy. So kind of at the same time, we were both doing some physical therapy. So I thought, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. This is what I want to do. Went to Bellarmine University, did my undergrad in exercise science, pre-physical therapy. My last year of school, I started working at Pro Rehab. One, to like get income, of course, because your girl needed some money, broke college student. There were times I had like pennies to my name. But 2, just to get experience, because I've noticed like you get experience on the job versus like in school. Right. So yeah, I started my last year of college at Pro Rehab. I always kind of knew I wanted to personal train on the side just because of being active sports. I started training when I was 13 years old. So I have trained half of my life at this point. And always just kind of knew I wanted to do that in the background. I thought that I was going to work my full physical therapy job all week and then Saturday and Sunday, kind of do it as a side hustle. And then the more I worked at a PT clinic, the less I wanted to become a PT, because the more I saw how much they don't really work with the patient, how it's the technicians that do it. We are the ones that are, I hate to say it, but like, I felt like I was the one helping them reach their goals as opposed to the PT, because they were with them for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So I felt like I was having more of an impact on their life. And it was so inspiring for me to like see clients go from day one, or patients at this point, go from day one to, get discharged and being able to do everyday life things again. And during this time too, I just started coaching for a group fitness class. And just my passion for training and nutrition just kind of expelled into a full-time job, because it was one of my patients was the owner of the gym that I now own. So I actually met the previous owner of UpLift as a patient.
Okay.
And started working for them here at UpLift. So in October of 18 is when I started working for them. And in like January of 19, I was like, all right, I'm going to start saving money every paycheck. I'm going to start taking it out, get a little bit of income or like saved up money so that way I can go buy equipment. So I'm going to rent a small space and I'm going to start training clients on the side just to make some extra money. And then a five-year plan turned into a 5-month plan very quickly.
Yeah.
5 months later, a side gig turned into a full-time gig. So now
works, right?
That's where we're at. Go from PT to PT, but personal trainer.
Hell yeah. And you know, a lot of times that's just how it works. You know, that was your calling, obviously. And you're there. I remember actually when you like kind of announced that to me. I was like, damn, that shit, it kind of just like came out of nowhere, you know. It's like it was just so random, you know. But you know, just from what I've seen, you know, on Instagram, Facebook, all of the above, you know, UpLift is obviously thriving. So, you know, kudos to you for taking that on without like, you know, any like prior experience owning your own gym. And then, or like even like having, you know, longer than a few years to like build up to it, you know, and still being able to crush it. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Training versus owning your own business, for any of those that are thinking about it, two totally different aspects. Like, you can train people, that's great, but can you run a business is a whole other ball game.
Yeah, completely different. And I'll say, like, you know, and it's I'm glad that you said it. It's interesting because there are probably a lot of people like kind of in my space to where they are like sole proprietors. You know, they have the brand. Of course, they own that brand. That's their brand. But, you know, without having like that space to their name, you know, it's not quite the same as, all right, I need to keep this space alive, not just the brand. Because you can have that brand and go from house to house. You know what I mean? So it's way different, you know, just a completely different, you know, spectrum there. But it's a big jump going from one to the other. So, you know, hey, kudos, hats off to you. That's awesome. Okay. Well, so in saying that, you know, I kind of want to, like I said, I want to take a step back into your experience because, you know, ultimately, you know, you've already expressed that you as a female have had some of your own complications when it comes to your day to day and your fitness and your health and your wellness and things like that. I want to talk about first, you know, what your style of training is. Like how do you train? You know, are you your everyday strength and conditioning coach, or, you know, do you only focus on low impacts with low impact clients, or do you have a little bit of everything going on? You know, can you reach, you know, all of the realms? So what's your style?
So I would say it's dependent on the client. So if a client likes the high intensity and it's going to fit for their goals and their body, then we will incorporate that. I would say more my style is focusing on the compounds. So learning how to use multiple muscles all at the same time with one movement. Especially when it comes to functional training. I would say it's more functional training because I still do a lot of physical therapy components within the training. Especially if you are already experiencing some aches and pains, like we want to combat those first, because if you are in pain, you're not going to want to train. If you don't want to train, you're not going to want to, you know, the whole XYZ factor. So it is really based on the client and what I think is going to work best for their body. I've had some people that love the high intensity but have thyroid issues. Those two don't work well together. So learning what might be going on with their body internally and making sure that their training aligns with that. Because even if you like something, doesn't mean that it's going to work well. So there has been times where we've started with something like high intensity and it's not working well with their body. So then we change it, but we always have that discussion of what works, what's not working, what do we like, what do we not like? Because you can change your training up anytime you want. It's not like you can only do strength training or you can only do high intensity. But finding what works for that person and going with that, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So if 5 clients walk through the door and they all have a different need for their body anatomy, activity level, et cetera, what is your, what's your ideal client? Like, where do you, I guess what I'm asking is like, what's your favorite, if you will, like your favorite way to coach?
I don't know, because I go back and forth, of course, because I'm like, I love when the clients just like want to get strong, right? So they want to build that strength. They want to move weight because, of course, that's what I gravitate towards. Yeah. And especially for women, like I have a client right now, we just did her max deadlift for the first time ever last week, and she's moving 265 pounds like it's nothing. And she was like, "Oh, that was okay." And I was like, "This is the first time you've ever deadlifted, and you're doing 265 pounds with like great form."
Yeah.
Like I'm in shock. So, I think honestly, it is. Of course, like we gravitate towards people that are similar to us. So it is definitely more of that strength based and hypertrophy based, which a lot of people like want to lose weight and they want that quote like toned body, but not understanding that in order to get toned is building muscle mass, which then changes body composition. So I think ideal client, kind of full circle, is one that wants to really focus on building that lean muscle tissue and not being afraid to move weight, because ladies, lifting heavy does not make you bulky.
Yeah.
If you could see me right now when I don't have back issues, I lift like twice my weight and I look like a string bean.
Yeah. So that is ideally, my favorite type of person to train to. I think just their mindset, their focus is a little different. It's where it needs to be, longevity. So yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, I just kind of wanted to get that out. I because you got people out there that are just like, I just want to like deliver transformations and like, that's great. People come to you for that. But like, I think that, and that's another reason why we obviously wanted to have you as a sponsor, because you fall in line with what, we are preaching to our friends and family when I'm preaching to my clients. And that is building strength. And, these are the things that are going to, keep you healthy forever. You know what I mean? And keep the weight off forever. You know what I'm saying? So that's great. Very good. Haley's a very good teacher. Obviously, very good teacher. I by the way, I think personal trainers and coaches, people don't give them enough credit, but they're teachers. They're instructing, giving information, educating. I'm giving ourselves some claps on the back here, but bragging about our teaching experience. But yeah, anyway, so okay, cool. So that's great. I love that. I love that. You can obviously adapt to multiple people. And you have your favorite, of course. So tell me a little bit, now that people kind of have an idea of how you like to train or how you can train, tell me a little bit about your experiences with some of your like hormonal imbalances, if of course you feel comfortable talking in depth about them. Because I would imagine a lot of the women that are going to be in attendance have probably experienced the same thing. So this would be a good help to them.
So I think a lot of times, though, people relate not being able to lose weight to just automatically blame it on hormonal imbalances.
Okay.
When in actuality, it's not always a hormone imbalance or damage per se. So my experience with that, so I was a bikini competitor. I've only ever done 2 shows, so I'm not like, pro debut or like have a ton of experience in it. But my second coach that I had, he like tore me down. Like I started and I was at about 135 pounds. And when I got down to it, show day, I was down to 110 pounds. So I lost, not only did I lose a lot of muscle mass, but of course lost a lot of body fat. I look back at the pictures, like I've posted them a few times on my Instagram and stuff. So you can definitely see like how tiny I am. And that's not healthy. Like being 5'7", 110 pounds, 112 pounds, like is awful. So when I ended that show, I had plans of doing a third show. When we started coming off prep and increasing our food very, very slowly, we were adding food. Each week I was adding like anywhere from 3 to 4 pounds. So post show, like you have your meal that you haven't been able to eat because you're on a very strict, very regimented diet. And you indulge, you go your one day, and then after that you just hop right back, to what your meal plan was before and just slowly going up from there. So in a matter of less than a month and a half, I went from 110. I think the heaviest I ever weighed myself was like 150, 155. So a 40 to 45 pound weight gain in less than 2 months. I had done the whole like go to my doctor. I actually went to my OBGYN and they were like, oh, you're fine. Like your weight's great. Like using the BMI charts. Being 5'7" and 155, like that's great. Like you're within normal ranges. But you can see on a lot of my pictures how puffy, how swollen, how like unhealthy I looked. Like I didn't look quote like fat or what people would think is fat, but I knew that wasn't my body's homeostasis level. So it took a lot of time, a lot of energy. I got a crap ton of blood drawn within it took me almost 2.5 to 3 years to get back down to a normal healthy body weight of like 130 to 135. I had gone through, so my family on my mom's side has thyroid issues for all of the women. My dad's side, all of the men have thyroid issues. So between my brother and I'm the one that is royally screwed. I seem to be the one that gets everything and he gets nothing. So that's one reason as to why like I've had the lifestyle that I have of being consistent with training, being consistent with nutrient dense foods, not eating a bunch of cookies and ice cream and binge eating, but I've suffered with a binge eating disorder. I went through the 2.5 to 3 years of trying to lose weight, like trying to get internally healthy, get my weight back down to a healthy range. My thyroid was high. So I was kind of dealing with some hypothyroid issues, not high enough yet to where I needed to be on any type of medication. But my body was super inflamed. It was not happy. So throughout all of the doctors that I went to, a lot of them were just like, oh, you're fine. Like they just write you off. Because it fits within textbook examples of what healthy is. Right. Even if blood work is on the high end of normal, you're fine. Like they just don't really think about it. So it took a lot of like just being in tune with my body and knowing that something is wrong and continuing to push with it. And finally, I had a doctor that listened. I was like, listen, this is what's going on. These are what I've had to do. What do I need to do? Looked at all the blood work. Thyroid was even higher than it was a month before when I got blood work drawn. So I dealt with a lot of thyroid issues. And the last thing I want is to be on a medication for the rest of my life. When we have learned, or at least I have, like, your daily habits in your intake, your nutrient intake can be so much better for you than just getting prescribed a pill and just automatically going to a pill. We are a very reactive culture as opposed to proactive. So I think for me, like, being proactive in this was the best thing. So here I am as a trainer, and I have to completely stop training altogether. It was about 4 months that I didn't do a single workout. I didn't lift a single weight. I had to surprisingly, like, drastically increase my food to where I even gained a little bit more weight just to kind of get my body back to a homeostasis. And it was hard to think, okay, this is what my clients go through. It was kind of good and, of course, bad at the same time. Bad because no one ever wants to go through any type of imbalances. But it's also it was really good for me because now I kind of have a better understanding of what people go through on a month-to-month basis or week-to-week, of no one ever listening to them. So a lot of my clients, like, we start very small. Like, I will start with people at 2, maybe 3 days a week. Especially if they're going through any type of, like, acute inflammation because of training, it automatically gives you inflammation. But if you're dealing with training and not doing it properly, you're even getting more inflammation than what you already have.
Right.
So I'm able to kind of not only use my experience, but now utilize my knowledge into my clients' programming. And I just saw how uncomfortable I was and felt uncomfortable that, of course, not, like, people don't want to live like that. So it was nice it's nice to be able to relate to people better. I think if you're a trainer and have always been fit and you've never had to experience any, like, hardships within your own body, it's a little bit easier to completely, like, negate or write off people's hardships with it. So it's helped me out to be able to build that rapport with people and have them understand and know, like, I'm a human too. Just because I'm a trainer doesn't mean I'm 100% perfect. Doesn't mean that I haven't had issues. The last year I've dealt with 2 lymphatic infections and dropped back down to 120 pounds. And that's, of course, not healthy for me. So, you're, as a human, like, you can do everything right and still get sick per se.
Right.
But being proactive as opposed to reactive is what's going to help prevent some of those things.
Heck yeah. Well, I'd say that one, you're obviously very, very intelligent, and just to be proactive is intelligent enough. You problem solved. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to wait until, like you said, they want to be reactive. They want to wait until something goes wrong, or years down the road when they're at a place where, well, damn, now they've got to spend years to get to a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely, like, puts you in a position to just be able to, like, help people. And I don't know if, like, I don't know if you've experienced many men that have had some similar issues or similar complications that you've trained, but obviously if you're a female and you've had some of these similar complications, you all Haley's got you covered. Okay. Which is obviously why we wanted her again on this retreat. So this is really great. She's going to know exactly what to do in the way of, her training, how to approach you all, being that she's never really met with you. There's no assessments or anything like that. So, if you're choosing to go to Haley during that session, that's a workout, kind of ramping it up session, Haley will get you covered. She's got you covered, y'all. Okay. Very cool, Haley. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you shared that experience and that story. Like I said, I'm sure that there are plenty of people that are, like you said, clients dealing with that. You know what I mean? So now you can kind of relate to them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So let me ask you, so just on a more of a personal note, we know all about Haley, the coach. So, we could probably talk about Haley, the coach all day. You've obviously got more and more and more, it's a part of it's like your life. So, you obviously can go on and on. So, but like, what's your back end? What do you do outside of the gym, outside of the computer? I think that outside of your training and what's going on with you internally, being able to relate to people that way, I'm sure that you have some habits and things that you love to do that you can also relate to people with. So share some of your deepest, darkest secrets.
I was thinking about this the other day because I'm like, what about, like, all I do is work. Like, all I do is work. I had somebody tell me, like, oh, it must be so nice to, like, get paid to, like, work out and be fit all the time. And I was like, little do you know, it's actually less. I have less time.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've always been known as the fitness person, right? So I started training when I was 13 years old in high school, like actually had a trainer, the whole thing. And I'm really, like, I guess my identity has always been around being the fit person. But I think what a lot of people don't know, and I love doing this, and I hate that I don't have as much time, but I actually, like, I don't want to call myself an artist, but I paint, like, I do charcoal. I've done, like, I do a lot of sketches, like drawing, painting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And, like, I did a painting and I showed one of my girlfriends the other day, and she's like, did you buy that? And I was like, no, I did that. And she goes, I didn't know you could do that. Oh my God, that's so good. Like, I'm like, if I ever need to do anything, like, if I ever have to have a completely different job, it would either be that or, like, so we just bought a house back in September.
Okay.
And home renovations woodworking has to be my next. And I get that from my dad. Like, I'm making nightstands for our bed. Like, I've made a bench. Like, I did our laundry room, like, board and batten wall, like, put flooring down. My boyfriend tells me that I am obsessed with wallpaper because every, like room we've done so far, I've put wallpaper in. So very, like, artistic, I think, would be my hobby. Like, nobody knows that I do it until I show them, and, like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, holy crap. I don't know if I can swear on here, but
so there's a switch. You can put it on explicit if you say, like, shit and fuck and all that stuff.
Well,
yeah. So, I mean, I don't. I have a play mom, if you will, or she's more than that. I've known her since I was 2, but so she kind of looks after me and stuff, and every now and then she'll get on my stories and listen to some stuff that I do, and she's the first one to hit me up and be like, "Son, why you always got to be cursing and stuff?" So I don't, like, just blatantly do it just to be doing it, but something comes out, like, it happens, Okay, so what I'm hearing is that, like, you are just inherently an entrepreneur and creator, because, like, everything that you do has some sort of, like, creative touch on it. Like,
I guess so.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, and my mom hates this because I think every mom wants their daughter to be like them, but I feel like I've become my dad. Like, wake up at the ass crack of dawn, work all day, get home, and have to like continue your projects at home. Like my dad being a carpenter, like he woke up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, which is pretty much the same time that I do. Right. Drank his coffee every morning, went to work, did his construction. I do my training. I get done. I'm like, well, now I guess it's my turn. And it's like the last thing you want to do, but you still have to do it because you still love it. But yeah, I guess my dad had his own job or his own business. And not really realizing that we come from a family of like entrepreneurs. My uncle has his own job or own business. My other uncle like has his own music career. Like apparently it's just like in a gene, I guess.
Yes, in your genes.
I never knew though that I wanted to be my own boss. Like I never knew that I wanted to have my own business until it like literally God was like, here you go. Here's a baby for you. Like, here's a business. Like, you have to make it grow. So yeah, that's
nice. I'd say once you take the baby that you've been granted with and turn it into like this full grown, like adult child that, you might have the experience you need to do that with like a human baby. No, that's just a silly joke. That was corny. A lot of us have not developed a theoretical baby, metaphorical baby before having a real baby. So none of that shit matters. Success is success. You're doing a wonderful job. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, Haley, I'll tell you what, I think that everyone has gotten to know you extremely well. It's very clear that you are, not only they can't see your face, but you're obviously very beautiful, very presentable, knowledgeable, intelligent. Look, you're like the face she made, y'all. Like, oh, as well. But and it's exactly what we need. We need role models like you. We need people like you, inspirers like you, motivators like you, at events like this. So thank you very much for being a part of this event. We're very happy to have you. And there's going to be like some discussion based stuff at the end, like kind of later in the evening as well. And, I think it'll just be really awesome to see just all these people with like different genres, all geared toward health and wellness, but just different areas of it, and coming together and like having these communication points with people in our community that just like don't know where to go and what to do. And at some point, like in the late night stuff, obviously you all might still hang around, but being that it's gonna be like mostly women, I'm gonna jet out of there. So I'd love to know what you all talked about the next day. That'd be really cool. But yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. So Haley, tell us where. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. That's so rude. I'm about to ask you where people can find you, how they can get to UpLift, how they can find you online. But I haven't even asked you about like your more like immediate life. Like, do you have a man in your life? Do you have a dog in your life? What's going on there?
Yes. So I'll do exactly what he did to me. So I have a German Shepherd Lab Rescue who is a handful. This March will be his third, I call it gotcha day, because we don't know like what his birthday is. Okay. So it'll be the day that I got him. He's a project. When I was single is when I got him. So it was one of those of I was home by myself all the time. I needed a companion, the same reason everyone else gets a dog. But he is so fun. I'm obsessed with him. I get home from work and, you talk to him like you do a baby. His name is Flash, and he is definitely a protector, because the first time that I brought my now boyfriend over back to my apartment, which sounds really bad now that I think about it. So we were hanging out as friends. We were getting ready, going back to his friend's house. I needed to go change. Flash we're in the apartment, and he is definitely a protector because he did not really like Luis at first.
Yeah.
So the first time Flash and Luis met each other, Flash peed on Luis. He like just straight up hiked up his leg and just peed on him. And that's when I was like, well, I guess I got to keep you now. Like, he's already marked his territory. Like,
yeah.
So yes, Luis and I have been together for almost 2 years now. And yeah, so he's in the military. The house is under his name, of course, because we are not married yet. So I cannot be on like any of the lease or the mortgage and stuff. But yes, so I have a boyfriend of almost 2 years.
Okay.
Who better get on this lovely engagement train here.
Hey, what if he's listening?
Oh, he knows. Don't let him fool you. We have a ring that we've had since March of last year.
Louise.
It sits on his desk.
Louise, man, hey, check it out. So let me tell you, man, I've known Becca since my sophomore year in high school, and I obviously over the years did not feel ready until 3 years, or maybe it was like 2 years after us being back together in 2016. So my guy, it happens to where you might stall sometimes, but basically what she's saying is don't stall too long.
Oh yeah.
I love that you just called him out there. That's funny.
Oh, I do all the time, and he knows it. He's like, I'd be an idiot not to, and I'm like, then what are you waiting for?
Yeah, what are you waiting for? So I'd say I'd rather have a dog, if I was like walking into, a relationship with a woman, I'd rather have her dog pee on me than like bite my freaking hand off. I guess yeah, like one is like very aggressive and it's definitely like, don't come back here. And the other one's like, yo, you're cool. I just want you to know that this is my shit. At least that's how I'm taking it. I have like a very cartoonish style brain. So,
oh yeah. Luis was fine with it. He's like, I was like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
That's hilarious. That's a funny story. Hey, I'd say that's definitely a wedding story to tell right there. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for letting us know about your love life and everything. We appreciate that. So tell everybody, where they can find you, how they find you, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of, I guess, what service you provide, and things of that sort, so that they'll obviously have more of an idea of who you'll be at the retreat, but also if they just, want to find you before then or after, how to get in touch with you, if they have the questions, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. How do they find you?
So I have 2 pages. Well, 2 between the business and personal. So personal, which I kind of like interchange it with fitness. So you can go to my Instagram, which is Haley Wienke _fit. So HALWINK _FIT. Or so that one I kind of share like personal and business and work and training. So kind of the whole shebang. That's on Instagram. And then also on Instagram, UpLift Training Lou, LOU at the end. That one I kind of, yeah, UpLift Training Lou. That one is very much so like client oriented, education oriented, highlight new clients that are coming on. So those are Instagram. Facebook is Haley Wienke, and then UpLift for that. So the cool thing about UpLift is, if you don't already know, we are in an airport hangar, and you can see downtown Louisville from our windows. So hopefully next year or actually this year, if we get to have thunder, the planes fly in and out of here all day. Hopefully you can't hear them on this in the background, but yeah, it's definitely, I would have to say, the most unique spot for a gym in Louisville.
Cool.
I'm gonna just go ahead and put that out there.
Yeah, I live right by the airport. So between not obviously not the airport, but the Louisville SDF. So between your location and mine, I was expecting to hear a few more airplanes, but we got lucky. So it's all good. Okay, cool. So you all heard her, Uplift Lou on Instagram, Haley Wienke, Halewink.fit.
Underscore.
Okay, on Instagram as well. Did you mention your Facebook?
Yeah, Haley Wienke, and then UpLift for UpLift page. So
Love it.
UpLift's Instagram is UpLift Training Lou.
Love it. Okay.
All one word.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, cool beans. All right, so we know where to find Haley. She's gonna be at the retreat. If you want to reach out to Haley between now and then, I would imagine she's always posting some pretty cool content as well. So, go and look at her. If you're a bit skeptical about her first, learn her content, watch her education, and then reach out to her. That was just kind of a joke. You know how people are. They're like, who is this person? You. Then they see your stuff and they're like, okay, I like her. I can trust her. Very cool, y'all. Okay, so and again, we've got the Women's Wellness Retreat coming up April 24th through the 25th. Okay. Refer back to some of the recent podcast episodes if you really want to know and kind of learn a little bit more about some of the sponsors that are going to be there. Today, we wanted this to just be about Haley. Okay. Obviously, my name is Austin Pegram. This is the Fitness That Fits You podcast. If you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me. Of course, I'll always give you that information. Instagram, Austin FTFY, Facebook, you've got Austin Z Pegram as well. Okay. We're going to put all of Haley's information in the description below and the information you'll need for the Women's Wellness Retreat. Okay. So be looking out for that as well. You'll be able to kind of view the different packages, if you will, that you can purchase for that day. And that's going to be solely based on the kind of experience you want. You've got more of a standard experience, and then you've got more of a premium deluxe experience. Just imagine like a small mini, like a Reese cup on Halloween versus like a big, like huge bakery cookie. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was a good simile or not. But anyway, all right, you all. Hey, have a great rest of your day. If you're listening to this in the morning or in the middle of the day, have a great rest of your night. If you're wrapping it up for the evening, okay? Be good to yourself, and we'll see you at that Women's Wellness Retreat.